the pop culture feel. And you will.
It's the Ultimate Warrior, and he's like working out with these kids that are like high school kids, and he's like showing them how to do like a barbell squat, and he's like the most like, you know, like not doesn't have kids in his life, but thinks like this is how you talk to kids, and he like puts the barbell on his shoulders, and he's like, now squat. He's like, barbell squat. Now squat deep. Like you're shitting over a hole. And he's like, what? And then he's just yelling at a kid. He's like, because the kid's like, I can't do it. And he's like, I can't. Just screaming at this kid. It's great. Yeah.
The Ultimate Warrior he always seemed like he was a bit unhinged. Like maybe like actually unhinged, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's a psychopath.
He was one.
You know who else is a psychopath?
Who's that?
Kobe, our super fan, that ended up tattooing a PCFM grenade logo on his shoulder.
Kobe has
Congratulations, Kobe.
Yes.
You've just reached psychopath level.
Kobe has shown us that he is the ultimate in dedication. Like when the PCFM army rises up and wages war against its enemies, Kobe will be at the vanguard. He will be at the tip of the spear with his arm forward, showing forth the symbol of the PCFM
sleeveless
grenade.
Armor.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
For those of you guys,
amazing.
For those of you that didn't, we posted the picture on our Instagram. But we have a super fan out there, Kobe, who has gotten a tattoo. This is the very first PCFM tattoo out there that we know of. But he got the grenade, our little PCFM grenade symbol, on his arm, and it's actually really well done. He got some shading done in there. You know, there's some coloration and stuff.
I'm surprised he did it before I did, you know. 'Cause, like, I have quite a bit of tattoos, and I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm not really into tattoos, but now I'm thinking like maybe I could get my first one and be the PCFM grenade.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Sorry, Johnny. We got somebody fighting for your spot of PCFM commander of all our listeners.
Johnny be part of the Democratic People's Ministry of Information. The dissemination of our propaganda out there, you know.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
How did you feel? How did you feel when you saw the tattoo?
I mean, at first it felt I was very surprised. I did not think that I would see it, you know. But then I felt good because obviously Kobe has, and he said in his email that he has, you know, he's gotten something out of it. He's a big fan of the show. He feels like when he listens to the podcast, we're all just hanging out, you know, like he's hanging out with some good buddies. And I appreciate that. That warms my heart. And so I used to feel weird when people would give me donations on my Twitch stream. But then a friend of mine mentioned, she's like, hey, listen, you've already given them something. You are there, and they really see the value in hanging out on the stream. And so they're giving back to you. And so I feel that's kind of like what Kobe did. Like, I was like, that's amazing. Like, because hopefully whenever he looks at the tattoo, makes him feel good. It makes him feel like it's something positive that he has in his life. Yeah. That maybe there's other positive stuff out there too, you know.
Yeah. No.
What do you think?
I felt the same.
Yeah.
Way. Oh, when I saw it, I was like, shocked, because like, this is the first PCFM tattoo that we've ever seen, and then it was like it was a really good feeling because it's, you know, we've been doing this a long time, and it just kind of alluded to the fact that like we're doing. You know, we're putting out stuff that people enjoy, and like enjoy enough to permanently mark themselves for life. Yeah. So yeah, it was a really good feeling, and you know, we appreciate you, Kobe. Like, we appreciate that you enjoy what Izzy and I do so much. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing more PCFM tattoos wandering the streets as we build our army for hellbent on world domination.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We also got something special here from Johnny G.
Johnny he saw the PCF grenade, and he's like, no, I am number one fan. Okay. What is it?
He actually sent us a package from his homeland of Canada, and I'm gonna have to give some of this to you. And it's just full of all sorts of goodies. We've got
what?
You got all sorts of candies in here. We got Smarties, but they're Canadian Smarties. So it's like they got chocolate or something inside or whatever. It's almost like M&Ms, and then
Canadian, huh?
the Kinder chocolates. Since a couple
Kinder
chocolates,
Chocolates. Yeah.
right there, and then of course the classic. I'm really excited for this. It's cheesies. It's Canadian cheesies, made with real Canadian cheese, folks.
When you eat them, you just go sorry.
Yeah,
Oops, sorry.
About that. But this is
sorry about that, bud.
the coup de grace. He got us some cool Canadian patches, like tactical patches.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So we got 2 of these.
That's
I'll
awesome.
give one to you, man.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I collect patches. Like I have a 4Runner, and the entire roof is just covered with every single patch that I've acquired. And my goal is to like fill up the entire thing. So thanks, Johnny. We appreciate that. We appreciate Kobe. We have such awesome listeners. Yeah, I don't think I can really like express just how much gratitude I feel and how Izzy feels. Well, maybe not as much Izzy, but what I feel. No, I'm kidding.
I feel
just
more
how
deeply.
amazing our community is here on PCFM. So you guys are a bunch of PCFM warriors.
Yeah. In
And
fact,
that is exactly what we're going to talk about today.
that's right, folks. This is a fun episode. One I'm excited for in a different way because we get to talk philosophically, I guess, as well.
Yeah. What is a warrior?
What is a
warrior?
man? What is a man?
What is a woman?
What are any of us, really? What
Yeah.
are human beings? But, warriors, man. And we're going to talk about some of our favorite warriors, both in real life and then also our top picks for pop culture or honorable mentions for pop culture warriors. But, Cameron, what do you think? Why don't you start us out? What is a warrior? What makes a warrior? What are the characteristics of a warrior?
Ooh, that's a really tough question. I should have prepared.
There will be a test, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there will be a written
Make
test.
sure you
at
use
the end of
essay
this, and you must
formatting,
pass.
double space,
Yeah.
number 2 pencils.
Yeah, ALA. We're grown up, so we have to use LA, whatever. The one I used in college, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But no. What is a warrior? I think a warrior is somebody. Now it doesn't have doesn't have to be a man, doesn't have to be a woman, but somebody that is selfless, someone that puts the welfare of others above their own, and someone that is capable of great violence, but yeah, you know where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah.
Someone that is capable of performing great violence, but has self-control, because you already know the quote I'm going to go.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I was
man. I
listening
love it.
to Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, conservative speaker, very popular guy, very knowledgeable, very intelligent guy. But I think the best way that I've heard it explained is what Jordan Peterson said. And he's like, being a warrior is, or just being, somebody of use. It is, you don't have to be an angry person. You don't need to be a violent person, but you just need to be capable of great violence, because those who say, you don't have to worry about me because I'm not a violent person, in a way is useless. But you need to be capable of great violence, but just express self-control, because then you're not useless, you're useful. And if you can't do violence, or you can't commit violence, it makes you weak because you can't defend yourself. You can't defend someone else. But if you're capable of great violence but choose not to commit it, you are strong. I think that's, in a way, like, we've been around warriors in the military. We've seen, what characteristics make it. You look at the Army values, leadership acronym.
Yeah.
I mean, just first of all, disclaimer: just because you're in the military doesn't mean you are a warrior.
Yeah.
I've seen people in the military that do not live the warrior values. But there's something to strive for, absolutely. But you're more of a philosophical guy. Let me ask you, what do you think?
Well, you hit on a lot of
what do you think makes a warrior?
You hit on a lot of that stuff. I think for our, because it can't be. I actually kind of like to keep it within the realm of warfare and violence, kind of like how you characterized it, because we can talk about the peaceful warrior, and we can talk about fighting for a good cause, and in lots of different ways, and that's all good. And sometimes you might be able to use the term warrior, but for our purposes on this episode, it's somebody who is capable of great violence, right? And not just the ability to control, but I'm a big believer in not just believing in, gee, like you just have a belief. Like, I don't care what you believe, just believe it. I think that's BS. Like having good values, having values that lift up society, having a direction that you want to point society in or help guide society in, and then being able to defend those values, specifically with violence, because obviously we're not going to go out and like fight in the streets, but there's people out there that they don't care how philosophical you are. They don't care how well you talk. They don't care about, your little peacenik values or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, violence gets things done for a lot of people, And so there have to be, like, we hear the men on the walls, right? Ready to do violence against the enemies of whoever or whatever. It's just like, we live in a violent world. And it's important for people to acknowledge that, and so the ability to do violence, like you said, is I think really important, and we can see in history, and then also with our examples from pop culture today. A lot of the ones that I chose were characters or figures that had like a long journey of violence, and they have a certain perspective on violence or a certain perspective on war or a certain perspective on being a soldier that guides who they enact violence upon, right? Because they're not just chaotic figures. They have a specific moral goal or a specific moral grounding that guides their violence. It's like the ability to do violence is like the engine, and then your morals, your principles is like the steering wheel. It guides in what direction you're going to point that violence, which is, I think, you can be a fighter, which is, or you can be a warrior, which to me, a warrior is somebody that should be held in high regard, and who has the principles and morals that guide the violence that they are capable of doing.
Yeah, absolutely. There is it's either a Chinese story or a Japanese story that I'm also a big fan of, and I think it encompasses a lot of what we talked to and puts it in like just a really philosophical like saying, and I'm gonna share it with you. Yes. You've probably heard this. You may have not heard this, but there's a master and a student in a garden, and the master is just appreciating the beauty of the garden around him. And, he sees the flowers and he picks a flower off the ground and he smiles at it and he says, "Look how beautiful this is." And the student's a little shocked. He said, "Master or sensei, how can you switch your mind so quickly when this entire time you've been teaching us to commit great acts of violence upon one another?" And the master smiles and he goes, he states simply, "It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war." So that's one of my favorite stories ever. It's like you're able to commit great violence, but that's not your entire identity. You're guided by morals. You're guided by appreciation. You have a sense in your mind that kind of, justifies your beliefs, just like you said, and, you're willing to die on the cross for them. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're trying to commit acts of violence at all times. You're not trying to be a violent person. You're just very capable of it, and when the time comes, you're able to use it. I think we got a good episode going today, but we got some real life warriors throughout history that have been that have made their mark, that has established a legacy as some of the greatest warriors on the planet Earth. So before I think we go into our pop culture and our video game and our television characters, our fictional characters, let's talk about some real life warriors that have some absolutely, crazy stories.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. We talk about principles and guiding principles to your violence. Not to say that these men didn't, but we're going to talk about some really rough figures from history, which in hindsight, we can always practice chronological snobbery and judge what they did, but within the context of the world that they lived in,
their accomplishments.
Yeah, their accomplishments.
Yeah,
nothing
what
takes
they accomplished.
Exactly, their accomplishments. Like Alexander the Great, man. Great.
Yeah.
great military, like, he was a conqueror, man. That's why they called him the Great.
This was a conqueror.
I think in 15 years of battle.
I don't know a lot of people that have the name the Great.
Yeah, right.
afterwards. Like, that is an earned title.
Right.
You know, he might have not been a good guy, but his military accomplishments, you know, as we know dudes in the military that are like, for me, there's great Rangers and then there's great people, and oftentimes they don't coincide.
Yeah. He spent what, most of his life. I think he got going. His first victory at like age 18. And his tactics are studied in military academies. I think in 15 years of battle, I don't think he ever lost. Now, there was that Alexander film with, what is it, frickin' Colin Farrell in it. And what is it, Val Kilmer, Angelina Jolie. I don't know how accurate that is, but needless to say, he had a reputation for leading his men into battle with impressive speed, allowing smaller forces to reach and break the enemy lines before his foes were ready. We also looked it up. After securing this kingdom in Greece in 334 BC, Alexander crossed into Asia, which is present-day Turkey, where he won a series of battles with the Persians under Darius III. The masterpiece of Alexander's fighting force was 15,000 strong Macedonian phalanx, whose units held off sword-wielding Persians with 20-foot-long pikes. Dude knew how to conquer,
20-foot-long pike.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, how far did he go? Because he went all the way, like, he went way far east, like India.
Yeah,
he created
an empire that stretched over 3,000 miles.
Wow.
In 13 years. His empire stretched 3,000 miles long. He was defeated a couple times. There was some warriors. Yeah, so there's like, this warrior isn't very well known. But I believe, let's see, was it this guy or no? That was Caesar. Give me 1 second. I just lost him. I guess he's not that great of a warrior. You keep going. I'll find this guy.
Certainly, he must have.
I was reading about him.
Well, I'm trying to see how far he went into. Yeah, far he's into Indian subcontinent. He got pretty far, man. Let's see. I'm trying to. My notes. I lost my place. Anyway, amazing guy, Macedonian king, Alexander the Great, awesome warrior. If you're looking for an in-depth historical accounting, you're not going to find it here because we're just a couple of dudes with a podcast.
Yeah, we're just dudes with Google and appreciate
that's
warriors.
Right. But he died? I think I remember reading that he died pretty young, right? He didn't live all that long.
No, I don't think so. Damn it, I can't find this guy. I was literally just reading about him earlier. It was like one of the foes that Alexander the Great actually was intimidated by.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he.
Maybe you guys can tell us out there if you know.
Yeah, God, I can't find. I lost him. I lost the thread. Sorry, folks. But yeah, Alexander the Great. Obviously, they've made movies about him. He's one of the most well-known warriors throughout the world, just based off the just sheer landscape he was able to acquire. And there's other leaders that did this, military leaders that did this as well, just in different parts of the world at different times. I'd love to talk about Genghis Khan.
Yeah, talk about it.
This dude was an absolute savage. So, like, what we know most about what Genghis Khan did, we know from excerpts from non-Mongolian literature. So, like, they were so secretive in what they did that, like, what we know about him is, like, I mean, a lot of what we know about Genghis Khan, we actually don't know at all. Like, we don't know how he died. We don't know his origins. All we know is that the Mongols conquered like far, far, far lands. But Genghis Khan is one of the most famous warrior kings in history. His real name was Temujin, and he was born in 1162 around Lake Baikal in Mongolia, and he died on the 18th of August, 1227. So he freaking lived back in the day, he lived like a long ass time.
People didn't live that long back then. Man, disease, you get a toothache and die, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in the amount of battles he's probably fought.
Right.
Like, to die in your 70s back then was like, you were old.
Yeah.
And you need to have a really good apothecary routine to keep yourself in fighting shape. But Genghis Khan was known for both his physical strength and his intellect, ruling large kingdoms despite coming from unknown origins. So, back in the day, like, if you were a leader, you came from, either a monarch family or a royal family. Nobody knows where this guy came from.
Interesting.
Like, whether he came from, like, a military academy or a military family. He just kind of took over and just did the job, and did it very well. One of my favorite things about Genghis Khan is, like, he preferred military action versus diplomatic action. So, like, he preferred plundering campaigns instead of trading with foreign forces. So, like, instead of being like, hey, we can, like, do peace and, these guys got, like, a bunch of hay. We have some, of these spices. Let's trade. Genghis Khan would be like, oh, no. Like, these guys got hay and resources. We're going to go fuck them up and take it. So he was just a brutal leader. And like I said before, many details about Genghis Khan's Mongol army are debated upon this day just because it was such a long time ago. The only sources we know about him is taken from non-Mongolian sources. And then he's known for his acts of savagery. And then this is one of the craziest fun facts about Genghis Khan. When I heard this, I was like, no way. So Homeboy was a big fan of the ladies. And in his rule, he is linked to over 16 million descendants.
What? That's like Wilt Chamberlain
descendants.
level getting it on. You know?
Yeah. No, he's like, that's like every campaign, successful campaign, he's like, bring me at least 300 brides.
Yeah.
And I'm going to impregnate them all. Like 16 million descendants are linked to Genghis Khan.
That's crazy, man.
That's like not even like a...
Do you think it was like strategic?
Could you imagine?
Do you think it was like, hey, I'm going to this will be my legacy, is like all of these kids will have some sort of genetic or some sort of connection to me or whatever. It was like another way of conquering. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like conquering in another life, like another generation of conquering. But that's scary. If you're like Mongolian and you're like, you're on Tinder or you're on like a dating app, and then you like you're like meet this girl and you're
like a 23andMe, like you trace it.
And then you realize you're actually related. Like that's terrible. Like that's so bad. But that's not even like a feat. Like I met this one guy the other day, and he was a direct descendant of the Wright brothers.
Cool.
And I was like, whoa, that's super cool. Like, that's super unique, right? Like, obviously responsible for flight. That's a big deal, man. I was like, do you get like discounts on tickets? And he was like, no. And, but like, could you, like in Mongolia, if you're like, oh, I'm related to Genghis Khan, and they're like, so what? So am I.
You want to discount on this meal? Yeah, we all are. You look around the whole cafeteria.
Yeah, we all are. Get in line, dude. Like, what do you want? A cookie or something? Like, there's 16 million of us. Like, come on. That's like the entire country of Mongolia. Like, you're not special. Yeah, but Genghis Khan, fearsome leader.
Yeah.
His campaigns were known to this day for just being absolute savage. It's just, I had to put him on this just because, he's such a well-known warrior, and even though I'm not saying he's a good guy, but he's known for his military conquests, and obviously he was doing something right in the military sense.
He's great tactician, great conqueror, for sure. Well, let's talk about somebody that maybe gets more
feminist,
into total feminist, total feminist,
love the ladies. Yeah.
But I think somebody that maybe lines up with more of our modern conception of what we're talking about, like the poetic, philosophical warrior mindset, or maybe just a good guy, as far as we know. I don't know. Maybe he's like a total jerk.
Yeah.
Audie Murphy, the most decorated American soldier in World War II, and one of the most decorated just in American history. But he was actually refused enlistment in both the Marines and the paratroopers for being too small. He was only 5'5". And he was only, I think he only weighed like 110 pounds. But he did enlist in the Army a few days after his 18th birthday. He joined in 1942, and he had falsified his birth certificate in order to enlist before he was eligible.
Back then, you could totally do that.
Yeah, there were no like electronic records. Nobody cared. You could just walk over to the next town over and be like, oh, I'm a different person. They're like, all right, we believe you,
What's your name, Craig? What's your name? Bloody Perfy?
Because nobody left their hometowns back then. They're all just a bunch of podunks, just a bunch of hicks. Oh man, I'm just being really mean about the mean in the past. Back then.
Jeez.
But anyway, he went to basic training in Camp Walters, Texas. Advanced training in Fort Meade, Maryland, and then he went overseas to fight in the Wall, World War II.
The Wall.
And he signed to the famous 15th Infantry in North Africa. He went to Sicily, Italy, France, and Germany. He earned a battlefield commission for his courage and leadership ability. During World War II, he killed hundreds of Germans in combat. I like just blanket statement, hundreds. And he once jumped into a burning tank destroyer to turn its machine gun on enemy troops. Fearless. Audi spent some 400 days on the front lines and earned 33 military awards, citations, and decorations, including every medal of valor that America gives, including the Congressional Medal of Honor, as well as 3 French and 1 Belgian medal.
Hell yeah.
On the strength of his heroic status, he became a movie actor after the war, starring in films such as Red Badge of Courage, To Hell and Back, and The Quiet American.
Yeah. You know, Audie Murphy is one of those characters that deserves everything that he got. Like, it's really funny because, you know, I'm not a big guy. And there's oftentimes, I don't know what's up with, like, the new generation, but there's this insecurity with, like, the size of a person.
Yeah.
Of just, like, you know, everyone thinks you need to be the strongest, the fastest, the tallest, the best hair to succeed in, like, special operations. And then, like, I was going through a platoon photo of, like, of me with a couple, like, our mortar section and my weapons squad. And, like, all the guys are, like, super tall. And you're just looking, it's like a tower of a man, tower of a man, tower of a man, me. And I'm, like, at some dude's, like, waistline. And it's just like, dude, like, no, like, size does not matter. It helps. But here's some corny saying. It's like the size of the heart is what matters the most. Yeah, there you go. Corny.
It only sounds corny, man, because we kind of live in a cynical society today, man. But it's completely true.
Yeah,
it's totally true.
Yeah, it's like doesn't matter how strong you are, doesn't matter how fast you are, doesn't matter if you're fat. Like if you're fat, you won't do it.
Yeah,
but like size, literally, like height does not matter. Like, you know, some of the best Rangers I knew, you know, were, you know, pretty average size, 5'9", 5'10". Mm-hmm. Like you don't need to be a Goliath to do this. And I think Audie Murphy, you know, being 5'5", weighing 110 pounds, like totally breaks that stereotype. Because he didn't serve in like the Rangers, he didn't serve anything. He was just 15th Infantry, and it's like it doesn't really matter what unit you are too. Everybody thinks you need to be in special operations to be the best soldier possible. Yeah. But no, I've met outstanding regular Army guys that have taught me like so much. But yeah, Audie Murphy's an excellent example of like what a warrior is. Doesn't matter how big you are, doesn't matter how strong you are. I'll say that multiple times because it just matters how badly you want to fight. Yeah. And short guys are actually more effective in combat because we can hide behind smaller things. We're super close to the ground, so bounding is super easy. You can get behind more cover. Yeah, being short is actually an asset.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, and what is implicit in all of these, in the kind of the overview of his life and the fact that he got all these awards is he was obviously very competent at what he did. You know, he's very skilled. Accurate, aggressive, all of these things that we credit good warriors for having. He was good at what he did, right? So it's not that you just gotta believe and there's this kind of general kind of out there esoteric spiritual thing like I believe in myself. I knew plenty of guys that believed in themselves. They couldn't perform. They couldn't do the tasks. And Audie Murphy obviously did it, and he did it so well that he got recognized for it. So there's leadership ability and being good at your skill sets and improving upon those. Understanding doctrine. There you go.
Yeah, everybody's like Cameron Whitey. Yeah, that's like one of my weird OCD things. Like people read books, people listen to podcasts. I read field manuals and Army training programs. Like that's what I do. I don't know why. I'm so intrigued with like doctrine.
It's a special place in society for people like you, Cameron. Don't be ashamed of that.
Yeah, like the psych ward. Why don't you start us off, man?
Cameron,
you've been itching for this.
No, you're going to start us off because there's somebody on this list that I'm very confused about, and you need to explain yourself.
Oh, yeah.
In the movie section, I see Mario, specifically in the movie section, the Mario from Super Mario Bros. Why is he a warrior? How does he embody the warrior spirit?
Okay, I'm sorry, first of all. And I like in parentheses, I put, let me explain. Yeah, no, I absolutely, because, okay, I just got back from Mexico, and I watched the Super Mario Brothers movie on the flight.
Wow.
First of all, excellent movie. Like, it was awesome. It literally had me chuckling. Like, it wasn't even like a fake laugh. I was, like, chuckling at this movie because it was just really well done. Like, it was an excellent movie.
Oh, my goodness.
But you got to think about it. Like, I think about Warriors, and, like, freaking Mario reflects it all, dude. Like, first of all, he goes around just crushing everyone. And that isn't, like, I'm not trying to make jokes. He literally crushes turtles for a living. And, like, he just gets hopped up on mushrooms and just decimates everything. So, and then he's also morally straight because he's trying to defend the Mushroom Kingdom. Yep. He's trying to rescue someone. He's placing his life on to the side in order to, save others. And then, and he's just really good at combat. Like, he's a fast learner. Yep. And, I'm sorry. Just the movie was excellent. If you haven't seen the Super Mario Brothers movies, I thought it was going to be crap. But no, it ended up being really well. Like, he not only is he trying to rescue Princess Peach, but he's also trying to rescue Luigi, his brother. And he always has his brother's back. Like, in the movie, Luigi isn't like we see him. He isn't Mario's equal in the movie. Like, Mario's there to rescue him. Yeah. But, like, he works really well as a team. He's inspirational. And out of everything, he's resilient. Like, he always gets kicked down. Like, he's always beaten up, but he never gives up. And he just, in the movie, he encompasses the warrior spirit. I'm sorry.
You know what?
Even though that's silly to say.
That's so funny, Cameron. I just had a revelation or realization. You and I are thinking about two completely different Mario Brother movies. I'm thinking of, when you put this on the list, I immediately went back to the 80s to the live-action Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins and frickin' John Leguizamo. But you're talking about the more recent one, the animated one.
Yeah, the more recent one, the one that came out this year.
Okay, I totally agree. It was a fun movie, and all the things you're talking about are, I think totally line up with the warrior spirit, man. So I'm so sorry.
It's a silly one. It's silly, and it caught me by surprise. Trust me. Yeah. Like, I had no like motivation to go see this movie. But it just popped up, and I'm like, let's give it a shot. And, like, I was glued the entire time. Just because it was just so well done. Like, they incorporated things in the video game, like the whole sidetrack type of format where, it's just on a treadmill type stuff. Like, it was incorporated in the movie. Yeah. Like, it just had connections. It was great. Jack Black as Bowser was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, peaches.
I'm full grown man, and I love that movie. So don't.
I agree,
don't
man.
Give me shit, but yeah,
I agree. You know what? In fact, let me dovetail that with something else with another character. Actually, he's down in the video game section. Link. Let's just keep it in the Nintendo. Link from the Legend of Zelda games, because I actually have a bit of a problem with. I'm a big fan of stories, and when there's a silent protagonist that never speaks, as Link does, you got Gordon Freeman from the Half-Life series. You got a couple of characters that they don't talk, and when it comes to storytelling, I always find those characters to be a little flat. I understand they serve a purpose in video games because the player is supposed to kind of put themselves in the place of the player, the character that they're playing, and so But anyway, all that to say, Link, it's the same kind of thing. When you talk about being selfless or being like morally pure, Link is one of those people, because there's never a question. The story in the Legend of Zelda games is never, should Link do this? Maybe there's like a reason not to, or like maybe he has doubts within himself. It's just by virtue of the fact if that's the way the character is designed. Like, he never questions anything. It's always like, oh, we're Link. Link's going to do it. Link's going to save the princess. Link's going to sacrifice himself. Link's going to fight the bad guys. And I think that's a good, positive thing for the culture to be held up out there in culture, is that it obviously, I don't know that it happens very often in real life, but there's like these morally pure characters where, like, there's no question ever that they are going to go out and fight, that they're going to go out and defend. And Link and Mario, the link between Link and Mario is that they're totally going to do it. There's never a question of like, Link never questions himself. He's like, why am I doing this? Why am I here? You know, what is the life of a warrior? We'll get into that when we talk about Solid Snake, but yeah, Link and Mario, two very morally pure characters, are always going to go the distance.
No, absolutely correct. Yeah, dude, you're absolutely right. It's like staying on the beaten path, essentially, never veering, never asking questions. I mean, I'm not saying that like good warriors never question orders, because I think some of the best warriors,
Sure.
question. You got to ask questions, otherwise you're not a warrior. You're a sheep. At that point. You're just a tool. Let's. I mean, talking about people that are morally straight, we can't have a PCFM podcast and not talk about Aragorn, because
Yes.
like this is the most morally straight guy in all of pop culture.
Yeah.
Like he is a king. He is a king, and he knows it. Like everybody knows who he is, but he feels that he's more useful as a ranger. And he's at Gandalf's disposal, and he's ready to carry out a suicide mission in order to protect the rest of the world, rather than just take his seat on the throne and become king. I don't think there's ever a moment in Lord of the Rings where you're like, Aragorn, what are you doing? He's always on the right path, and he's always looking to save his friends, and he's always looking to defend what's right in the world. He never wants to take the ring. He knows that's not his place. His place is to facilitate, that movement. He's just, I think his morals are the reason why the ring never tries to take him. And then obviously he likes elves.
Actually, you know what, Cameron, I would actually say that one of the things that makes him a good warrior is that he actually is susceptible to the temptation of the ring. I think Samwise is the only person who's not susceptible, but Aragorn, you talk about like the moral framework and stuff, he knows that he is susceptible because it's in his bloodline and it's happened in the past, and he feels the weight of that responsibility. He knows his fallibility and that he would be tempted by the ring, and so he refuses the ring, which actually makes him worthy to be king and worthy to lead and stuff like that, because he's somebody who carries within himself the fallibility of man, and yet he is held together by his honor and his integrity and the leadership acronym, basically.
Yeah. Well, you said that way better than I said, where I was going. Yeah.
Well, only because I saw a
YouTube
YouTube video about it, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about Aragorn, because this video was like so philosophical, and like, you're right, Aragorn is the greatest hero and masculine man in literature,
Yeah, no, he's amazing. And I think he embodies the warrior. He's everything that the warrior should be. What we talked about is like being capable of great violence, but having great self-control. Like not only is he controlled by not giving in to his manly temptation to seize the ring and follow the same footsteps as his lineage happened in the past, but he's an excellent warrior. Like I don't think Ugluk gives him a run for his money, but he ends up being when he almost gets decapitated by this guy. But there hasn't been a foe that he is not willing to stand up against. He never runs away from the fight, even in the face of the third movie when they're at the Black Gate and they have to create a diversion, and all they have is some of the Gondorian soldiers and some of the Rahurim. It's a suicide mission. Yeah, and he just gives a great speech, looks back at his men, and says, for Frodo, and then just is the first one running into an entire legion of orc warriors just with no fear. Like doesn't fear death, but knows this is the right thing to do, and doesn't there's no self-interest in Aragorn at all. You don't see it throughout the entire movie. He's an absolute embodiment of what a warrior should be, and what we all should strive to be too, especially with those locks.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me knock a few. I know we don't have all day on this, but let me knock a few out with kind of like in a category, I would say, which to me is all three of them kind of deal a little bit with something I want to talk about. But three video game characters: Kratos from the God of War series, Solid Snake from the Metal Gear series, Metal Gear Solid series, Metal Gear, and then Senua from Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Three characters that there's something about the warrior who has internal conflict, right? The warrior who questions themselves, questions their past, tries to better themselves. The warrior who can't seem to find any other place in society other than on the battlefield. And then the warrior who has that actual internal mental instability, mental conflict that she is trying to work through. Which, we talk about the peaceful warrior or like internal conflict, that kind of stuff, which is important to mention. Like Kratos, I'm thinking specifically of like God of War, the reboot, and then the God of War Ragnarok. He has this past where he's been this Spartan general, and then he worked for the gods, and there was betrayal and all this hardship, and he's killed so many entities, so many beings, and then he has this son that he's trying to teach his ways, but also teach him not to be like this ruthless warrior that only chooses violence or only thinks that violence is the only path. And so there's like a journey that he can go and kill pretty much anything he wants to, but he's trying to find like a better way, and he's trying to teach his son that way, Yeah. And then Solid Snake, same kind of thing. Like when we see him after kind of the initial games, the Nintendo games and whatnot, we see him in the PlayStation 1 game, Metal Gear Solid. The first time you see him, he's in a jail cell in a submarine because they had to like go out and like kidnap him, like take him and extract him to get him to do this mission because he has some personal connections to the antagonist of the game. But Hideo Kojima has all this stuff in the Metal Gear Solid games about like the thoughts of a warrior, the place of a warrior in society, like finding your place nowhere else, like except on the battlefield, and what does that mean, But then there's like also the importance of soldiers in the world because they have to fight our wars, but then there's also a great like mental toll that can be taken upon them. And so he deals with that. I don't know that he ever like gets over it. He just like keeps doing his thing. But and then Senua from Hellblade, it's one of my favorite games of all time. She actually has a psychosis. So her whole battle is a mental battle. Like none of the entities or things that she's fighting against are physically there, but she has to deal with them and process through them in her own mind, which takes the form of physical fighting that you do in the game, So anyway, just something I wanted to mention, and something that I think when you're watching a movie, video game, television show, something that just adds so much depth to a character, other than like John Wick is cool. He's an awesome warrior, but he's got a really simple through line. He's just like get revenge, kill everybody, and it's like that. Hey, good for him. But if you're looking for something a little bit more, those are the kind of characters like Kratos, Solid Snake, and Senua are the ones that really kind of get me interested. I'd like to do one more, and then we can get into our game. There's so many on this. Listen, guys, we got Captain Price on here. We got Gordon Freeman, Cloud Strife. We got Master Chief from Halo. We got Shepard from Mass Effect. I want to talk about Mad Max.
Do it.
Yeah, Mad Max might seem like kind of out of nowhere, but just hear me out. Listen, you know the kind of characters that I like, characters that have been on a long journey, characters that persevere, and so Mad Max is that kind of character where he starts out in the first movie. He's got a wife and family. He's trying to live a good life, and then the biker gangs, they take out his family, and he loses all reason to kind of like stay in polite society, and then he just heads out into the wilderness, the decimated post-apocalyptic wilderness, and that after that, he makes it. He's just a survivor. That's like his main quality. He's a survivor, right? But not really. Like he seems like he doesn't want to get involved in society. He just wants to be by himself. But he keeps getting pulled into these situations where people need his help, and he comes through. And he decides, like in the end, that he is going to be self-sacrificial and he is going to do the right thing. Especially with this last one, Fury Road. He gets pulled into this conflict, and he gets kind of thrown right in the middle of it with Furiosa trying to save these young women from Immortan Joe and his like kind of tyrannical society, and he just he has to come around to it during the course of the film, and at the very end he decides, listen, he decides that he is going to help him out. He is going to try to help him get to that safe spot back in their safe haven back at the base. And so you find out that he really does have this moral core to him. It's just buried underneath all this trauma. You know what I mean? And so I really just appreciate that. It's something that I think about often in terms of like trauma, people dealing with stuff today. It's like there's always, you can pull through, and it might be really hard, but there's something in there. There's something good that's in there that you can pull out, and you can realize that you're more than you thought you were, even though you might have a lot of trauma. So Mad Max, that's my final one. I know, guys, we didn't get to talk about a lot of these other ones, but listen, there's always part 2.
There's always part 2. And if we didn't mention one, secondary option here in our pace plan is our alternate is send us an email. Let us know what warriors you respect the most in pop culture. Maybe shoot us an email with some real life warriors throughout history that we didn't cover that maybe aren't well known, that did some crazy stuff. Izzy and I, we're not freaking experts here. We are, we're not history buffs, but we love to learn. Yep. So if you have something we didn't talk about that you'd like to share, please send us an email to pcfmpodcast@gmail.com, or hop on our Instagram, pcfmpodcast, or become a badass member of our Patreon community and interact us through our Discord on that. But as this episode is wrapping to a unfortunate end, we have one fan question, and then of course, just like we do always in PCFM Passion, we have a game to play.
Yes.
But speaking of super fans, John Goddard, the man with the plan, he sent us an email, and he asked us, my question is what death has cut the deepest and shocked you the most? To make it even more difficult, what side or supporting character that's there but not really a main focus affected you the most? That's hard, Johnny.
That's a really
I have
deep
to prepare
one.
for that one.
Yeah.
That's a very deep question.
You can't just like throw that
I mean, I know like a main character right off the bat, just right off the bat in my head would be Tony Stark in Avengers Endgame.
Oh yeah.
I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, but that sacrifice. It just cuts so deep, and it ends a legacy. It ends an absolute legacy.
Right.
Which is, and I think that's why it cuts so much, because they finally these big companies, they just want it, especially Marvel, they are squeezing everything out of Marvel for what they can get.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that they chose to finish off like the leader of the Avengers, and they did it in such a tasteful way, to where he just won't be there again. Yeah. And I hope they don't bring him back.
I hope they don't
but no, just that one cut the deepest for me, even though I wasn't even a huge fan. Supporting character, I don't know. What about you, Izzy? Give me some time to think about this.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna try to go away from. We've talked about death and death of characters before. I think we're legally obligated to refrain from talking about Boromir's death in Lord of the Rings. So I will say, I forget his name. Maybe I can look it up real quick. But in the movie Serenity, which is based off of the Firefly series by Joss Whedon, I actually knew about the movie before I knew about the television show. It kind of came and went, but I love the movie. It's like futuristic. You got a captain. It's kind of like a western, like a space western. Because I know Joss Whedon is a big fan of like Star Wars. And so anyway, there's the ship's crew. You got Nathan Fillion in there, and Gina Torres, and Alan Tudyk is the pilot of the ship. And I think him and Gina Torres' characters are actually married, but they're flying from the bad guys. There's this final confrontation at this planet that they're trying to get to. In between them and the planet is this, big government armada that's trying to stop them. And they're flying through, and Alan Tudyk's like bringing them through, weaving and bobbing. And they get down to the planet, and they're being chased by these Ravagers as well that are after him. And he's just this amazing pilot, and he brings them down, and he crash lands the ship into where they're going, and everyone's okay. And then he just gets out of nowhere, he just gets like speared by this massive harpoon, and while he's in his pilot seat. And I was like so surprised that happened, because he's one of the main characters of the show and in the movie. And Alan Tudyk's a great actor anyway. He's done a lot of great stuff. But yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh man, that sucks, man. Like, that's really like a bold stroke that they decided to kill that character, you know. But you know, it was one of the last things they did with the whole franchise or the whole series anyway. So it makes sense. It's a cool little sacrifice. So anyway, there's a lot. I get really choked up. I'm easily an emotional dude. So that's the safe bet for me for today. If you don't want to see me blubbering on YouTube.
Nice. I think just a real quick one. I do have a supporting character. I was going to say Dom from Gears of War, but he's kind of a main. He's right there with you.
Yep.
I mean, he's like as support. He's like saying Samwise dies.
Yeah.
But so he's a little too main front, but still in the Gears of War series, the Carmine brothers, they all freaking die. Like, most of them die. There's 4 of them throughout the entire series. And like in Gears of War 2, like, he's your new guy. And you're like, in the Gears of War 1, the first Carmine dies. He's shot in the head by a locust sniper. And then in Gears of War 2, you get, like, eaten alive by this freaking, giant worm thing. And then the other Carmine brother dies in the worm. So, like, they're supporting characters that you actually know and love because they're family. It's like saying, like, Saving Private Ryan when all the brothers die except for Private Ryan.
Yeah.
They're like all joined the gears like at the same time, and they're just like, you know, brothers following after their brother's footsteps, and they're just the unluckiest family ever because like most of them die. But yeah, when you lose like the Carmine, you're like, not again. Like that hit. You're like, damn it, I'm trying to keep this guy alive. But there you go. There's your answer, Johnny. Carmine's from Gears of War.
There you go. And Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, there you go. Finally. All right. Well, as we come to a close, we have a game to play, and I am the game master here. So, Izzy, are you ready to play, my friend?
I'm ready, man. I love these games.
Okay. Well, we're just going to dive right in, and this game is called How Tough Can We Make This? Thanks, Chris.
Oh, God.
In honor of discussing some of the toughest sons of bee stings to ever grace the face of Earth, I'm going to give you a real-life person's name, and you tell me if they died in battle or in some other way. Bonus points if you can tell me how they died.
Oh, brother.
Are you ready?
Oh, man. These are real people?
These are real people. Some of them we've talked about. Some of them we haven't.
Okay. All right. Okay. Do better with pop culture than I do with history. But let's do it.
Okay. And starting, there is no warm-up, so we're just going right into this. And you said let's do it, so I'm not going to ask you if you're ready. Genghis Khan Casanova himself.
Oh, wow.
How did he die? Did he die in battle, or did he die some other way?
I think he died some other way. I think I remember reading that he had like an injury, fell off his horse or something, and then just got progressively sicker, and I think he just died that way.
You are correct.
Yes.
It says he did not die in battle. Actually, the cause of death is unknown.
Oh.
Though it is theorized that he died of bubonic plague or, just like you said, injury sustained after falling from a horse.
Oh, interesting.
So you know your history, my friend.
All right.
But let's
Or
see
do I?
but let's see if you know this one. William Wallace from Braveheart.
He did not die in battle. He got captured and yelled freedom and got his head chopped off. And then the parts of his body, I guess, were he was cut in 4. He was drawn and quartered, and the 4 parts of his body were displayed in the 4 corners of Scotland as a warning. That did not work because then Robert the Bruce rose up and gained independence for Scotland.
You know, fun. Yep, you're absolutely right. He did not die in battle. He was hung and emasculated while still alive. His private parts burned in front of him. The executioner then cut Wallace open, pulled out his entrails, removed his heart, and quartered his lifeless body. Parts which were sent to Newcastle, Berwick, Perth, and Stirling for public display. Wow, they really did him dirty.
Dude.
You know, fun fact about this death. Do you know who Anthony Frisella is?
No.
He invented 75 Day Hard. He's the CEO of First Form supplements.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So I have a buddy that his wife is from Scotland, and my buddy's from England, and his wife is like really well connected and knows, you know, obviously Scottish, like they're very proud of their family lineages, and you can look up the crest and everything. Well, my buddy was on Anthony's podcast. And he did Anthony's family lineage, and it turns out that his family dated all the way back to Scotland, and his last name is Frisella, but it was another clan, the Frizzelli clan, or anything, which I'm probably fucking up the pronunciation, but this clan was known for being some of the most brutal fighters in all of Scotland in the time.
Wow.
And they're most famous for I think it was called the Battle of Pants, where the clan literally fought an entire battle without any pants on. So, like, they're just dicks out, because it was too hot. So I think it was called the Battle of Pants. It might be called something else. But it's a real-life battle. It was just way too hot, so they took off their kilts and just fought pantsless.
Wow.
But anyways, his ancestor that was part of this clan was actually executed next to William Wallace. And during his execution, there was a couple of like the big higher-ups of the William Wallace campaign, and his family descendant was executed next to him, and that's where the term called "laughing your head off" came from, because when they were about to behead him, he started laughing in their face, and then they decapitated him as he was laughing at them.
That's an amazing
So
story,
I thought that
man.
That's a really cool story. I hope it's true. I hope it's not like a scam artist of family lineage where they
Right.
just make up stuff to make you feel good. But if it's true, that's super badass.
That's awesome, man. Great
But anyways,
story.
yeah. So anyways, next one on the game that we are not getting sidetracked from. Leonidas the First of Sparta in 300.
Okay, I mean, if the movie and Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield that are true, he did die in battle. Him and his Spartans were killed to a man, I think, at the Hot Gates at Thermopylae against the Persians.
Okay, you are absolutely 100% correct. He did die in battle at the Battle of Thermopylae. You're killing it. You're 3 for 3. We have 3 more to go, and you probably are going to get this one because we talked about it. But revisiting our good small friend Audie Murphy.
Audie Murphy. I mean, no, he didn't die in battle. He conquered in battle, and then he went and became an actor, and I think he died peacefully. I don't know what year he died, but yeah.
You are correct, but I'm pretty sure he did not die peacefully because if this information is correct, he died tragically.
Oh, no.
He did not die in battle. You're correct. In 1971, at the age of 46, Murphy died in a crash of a private plane near Roanoke, Virginia.
Oh, that's too bad.
What a way to go!
I think
man.
he
like,
must
you're
have
a
been,
war
he had to
hero.
have been older than that, right?
You think so? It says 46.
I mean, if he was 18 in 1942, 52, 62,
it says
72,
1971. He was 46.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't do the math right now, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, don't math. Okay. We'll listen to you, Chris. Okay, moving on. We got 2 more. You're killing it. We have Miyamoto Musashi.
Miyamoto Musashi. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think he was like a swordsman or something, or Miyamoto Musashi, huh? Man, I do not know.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's 50-50, buddy.
I know. There's a video game called Brave Fencer Musashi, but as Chris would say, yeah, it's 50-50. I'm going to say, yeah, he died in battle. He was a swordsman, probably. He probably died in battle.
Ooh. Swing and a miss.
Aye.
Miyamoto Musashi, a legendary Japanese swordsman, strategist, and philosopher who lived during the Edo period, 1603 through 1868, so good reign for the Edo period. He is widely considered one of the greatest swordsmen in Japanese history, but he did not die in battle. He died to what is believed as thoracic cancer.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, way to go. One thing that like chaps my ass is when you're such an amazing warrior, like just like the Vikings wanted, like your goal is to die in battle, and then you just die on the outside. It's kind of a sad warrior death, but I think it happens more than you think.
Yeah.
But you missed that one, but it's okay because you've gotten 4 out of 5 so far, and let's see if you can finish it real strong with one modern day warrior. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Michael Munzor.
Michael Munzor? No context,
Yes.
nothing like that?
Yeah, Mansour was a Navy SEAL. He was a Navy Spec Ops task force that was part of a sniper team in Iraq.
Oh, man. Michael Mansour, huh? I mean, sounds like a great setup to a tragic death that wins you the Medal of Honor. So I'm going to say he died in battle.
Yes, he tragically died in battle. Mansour was deployed with the Navy Spec Ops Task Force as part of a sniper team on a rooftop in Ramadi, which was one of the most dangerous cities in Iraq at the time. Insurgents surrounded the sniper team shortly after dawn and attacked with RPGs and small arms fire. A grenade hit Mansour in the chest and landed in front of him and 2 other Navy SEALs. Mansour threw himself onto the grenade to absorb the force of the explosion. He saved the 2 SEALs, but not himself, and he died of his wounds half an hour later.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's, jumping on a grenade, man. You instantly take your place in the halls of history as a self-sacrificial guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's tragic, but yeah, that's a hero right there, if you ask me.
Yeah, man. Oh, well, that's amazing. But it's also amazing that I only
way to
missed
end on a
one.
real depressing note, Chris.
Thanks a lot, Chris. I'm going to go cry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you got 5 out of 6, so you killed it, buddy. Good job.
All right, man. Thanks. Good game. Good game. Little bit of
Good
history.
game. Yeah, good game and good episode. Folks, thank you for tuning in for us. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the PCFM podcast. Like we said in the beginning, or kind of the middle endish, probably. If you have anything you want to let us know, you got questions, you got comments, you know a warrior we didn't talk about, send us an email to the pcfmpodcast at gmail.com or on our Instagram. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Kobe, for the tattoo and the awesome
Kobe.
ink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Johnny, for the snacks and the patches. You're the man and the question. And, folks, we look forward to the next one.
Folks, if you want to hang out with us, go over to twitch.com. I'm on twitch.tv/myhappyself. Cameron's on Twitch now. You can go check him out at KitGodCam. All one word, KitGodCam. With that,
Cue music.